But I want credit for this. I said this months ago on this show. I said, yo, that girl down in Georgia, this is laid out for all to see, okay? She essentially prosecuted Trump because it would finance an affair she was having with this guy.
Bingo.
Okay, it's the long and short of it now. We know this. If they've been hooking up since 2019, okay, and we had this Georgia case come down the pike about Trump saying on the phone, you got to go find the votes. The transcripts clear him because he doesn't actually say, like, go find illegal votes that don't exist so I can win the election. He says to Brad Raffensperger at the time, the Secretary of State in Georgia, we believe there's 53,000 outstanding votes. We're only asking for you to find the decisive amount. We don't need a 5-year investigation. We don't need a 3-year investigation. But we do need an investigation that will get us to the proper vote total because we believe that's what's out there. Now, that is not the same thing as saying, go find me the votes I need to win. But the media sure ran with it like it was.
The media is a bunch of losers.
But the reason this prosecution didn't happen January of 21, January of 22, January of 23 is because nobody wanted to take the case on the merits except for a couple, one of whom was going through a bitter and expensive divorce, decided, you know how we could get all these hot sheets motels paid for? We launch a prosecution into Trump, take the budget, and spend it on each other.
Oh, wow!
And we now know this dude was getting paid nearly 500% more from the chick he happened to be sleeping with than the other investigators on the case.
That's not right.
We know it's not right. It looks an awful lot like an ethics violation. It looks an awful lot like this prosecution out in Georgia is on its way out the door. Okay, but the reason this is so significant, and this is the reason I want to focus on this, is, it looks like this case is going to fly out the window and Trump's going to be fine. They're going to lose on an ethics violation. Their integrity's crushed. It's hard to make anyone believe that this prosecution is being brought on the merits. Okay, the merit here is that these two clearly enjoy each other's company, so they're passing the bill on to the taxpayer. Okay, but when Trump gets exonerated in this case, most people are just going to walk away. All right, on to the next trial. But we need to have that slam the brakes moment where we collectively acknowledge the damage being done to our country by people who have no regard for the rule of law and how weaponizing it politically is impacting the integrity of the rule of law. This is where we find ourselves right now. We've never had a president indicted in the 247-year history of the country. Donald Trump has now been indicted 91 times, and his poll numbers keep going up. Now understand, that's not a testament to Trump voters being stupid or in a cult. I don't doubt that there are people out there that have like a devotion to him that's almost cultish. But that's not the vast majority of his supporters. The vast majority of his supporters don't trust the D.C. establishment. And the government's word is worth nothing to people. Okay, so Trump being indicted 91 times and it not putting a dent in him is really reflective on the integrity of the intel community. Okay, it's really an impact on a reflection on the integrity of someone like Merrick Garland at the DOJ. Okay, just last week, the DOJ decided not to charge Biden with a crime that they said he willingly and knowingly committed. And they said, well, he's an old doddering old man. He's going to look sympathetic on the stand. We won't charge him. But at the same time, they're charging Donald Trump. And you understand when there's a double standard, there's no standard. So the rule of law and the word of law is weakening in this country because these folks are so desperate to take down a political opponent that they don't care about the scorched earth tactic because they're not trying to convict Trump in the court of law. They're trying to convict him in the court of public opinion. Let's indict him 91 times. Everybody will go, wow, it's crazy. It's too much. Enough of this already. We got to move on. And then they don't actually need a conviction. They just need to flood the zone. And that's what's going on. The first indictment in New York, that's a scam. Alvin Bragg was the guy to break the threshold of indictment. And he did so on federal grounds. Okay, a New York district attorney does not have the jurisdiction to charge someone federally.
He knows what he's talking about.
But he did it anyway. Now, we know the case is going nowhere. It's no different than the civil case about Trump overvaluing his assets to borrow against them. Trump is being prosecuted in a civil court for the first time in history as someone in a borrowing case that doesn't have any victim. You dig? They're accusing him of a crime, but they can't name a victim. Think about that. They're not alleging that he misrepresented his wealth and missed payments and the bank suffered. They're not alleging he misrepresented his wealth and paid late and the bank didn't know that would be a thing. No. The allegation is he misrepresented the value of some of his properties. He inflated them according to one biased judge's review and assessment. But lo and behold, all the banks got paid on time. There is no victim in the crime.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Do you understand? This is the financial equivalent of charging someone for murder, but we don't have anyone dead. Okay, if you can't take a step back and see how that undermines the integrity of the judicial system, you're an abject crazy person. Okay, when it comes to the civil liability, he's got to pay $83 million to E. Jean Carroll. Okay, there are no criminal charges in that case because they don't know when it happened. They don't have any corroborating evidence. They don't have any eyewitness testimony. They simply have a woman who went on the Rachel Maddow show and laughed about it and told jokes about being sexually assaulted, who got a sympathetic jury in New York City where they're 96% liberal, and they awarded her $83 million in civil damages. Okay, but this stuff cheapens the integrity of our judicial system. Okay, Fani Willis essentially bringing a case against Trump because she wants to get laid and not pay for it. Okay, that's reality. You might not like the language I'm using this hour of the day, but that's the headline. So what, do we pretend it doesn't happen and just let them get away with more? Okay, this is really dangerous stuff for the country. And what you're finding now is there are people out there that are so hell-bent on getting control of our government that there's not going to be a government left to control. That's the concern. Okay, when the rule of law has no integrity. Yesterday, they said to us, hey, the head of the National Intel Threat Committee believes there is a threat of primal importance to the United States and its assets regarding Russia. We're trying to declassify the information. Okay, this is an all-hands-on-deck moment. The story didn't even make the top 3 headlines of the day because no one believes any of this anymore. And it looks really curious that threat assessment comes down as they're trying to pass a $95 billion foreign aid package that no rank-and-file American supports. Nobody. This is a government doing whatever the hell it wants. Okay? When inflation was at a 40-year high, you didn't ask for billions of dollars in climate spending. You asked for inflation reduction. So what did they do? They titled the bill the Inflation Reduction Act, and then they went out and spent every penny in the bill on climate change.
What a fraud.
But that was not doing the bidding of the people. Okay, nobody in their right mind, okay, was asking for $95 billion to go to Ukraine and secure their border at a time when ours is wide open at a record level. So they're trying to game support for it by being like, look, Russia could nuke us from space. I'm telling you, we read it. It's a thing. Russia, they're struggling to beat Ukraine, but they have the capability to take us all out from space. Okay, it's preposterous on its face. But the reason we don't trust them on that claim is because we've been lied to by the government in so many other ways. Okay, the government, and we could take this back 20 years. The government told you Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Still ain't found them. Okay, really think about that. Okay, they told you Russia colluded to control the outcome of the 2016 election. The government, they told you that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, as his business partners continue to testify under oath. This is the government. This is the credibility of the people who are supposed to be leading this country, and no one trusts them anymore. You know when you get into a car and you got the GPS telling you where to go? This happens with me and Jenny. Like, she'll put on one app, and it'll be like, you're going to take Route 95, you're going to make a left, and then you're like, I don't know. That's the route. I'm going to use my other GPS. That's where we are now. The government is giving us directions, but nobody believes in them anymore. So we're all switching to another app because we trust anything more than this one. And that's the biggest problem with the people steering the country.